The earbud brands are releasing every possible type. Are they afraid that you run out of the options? And if I'm not always checking the price at myself, I wouldn't have noticed that a pair of earbuds that launched at $80 somehow ended up selling for $129. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Jessie, and anyway, do you guys still remember my very first and slightly awkward episode, the May and June newly released FreeBuds? Well, this series is back with the August to September new ones. I'll keep it simple and real, breaking down how each earbud actually performs and whether it worth buying and how it stacks up against the others. And this time, I've also added something new. We really share how the sound feel in your head. And so, if you want the quickest updates on the latest earbuds and which one might actually work for you, hit that subscribe button, and it's the best way to stay in the loop. So I'll be rating and describing each one like this in detail. Trust me, this is the most thorough and honest breakdown you'll find anywhere online. By the end, you'll know exactly which pair does well and where it falls short, and you won't have to dig through a bunch of random reviews to figure it out. If this video helps you out, drop a go and just in the comment to cheer it up. And if you want a more in-depth review of any specific model, just let me know. I actually read all of your comments. Now for today's lineup, we've got a few new releases. I also have some newly released ones like the Moondrop Space Travel 2 Ultra we've already covered in a previous review. Then there's Beats Powerbeats Fit, TimeKit W4, Huawei PX8S2 and Moondrop Golden H2. I haven't been able to get my hands on these yet, so if you happen to own any of them, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Alright, let's get into it and let's go through everything in order by price. First up, the cheapest one, Huawei FreeBuds SE for ANC. Oh wait, nah, it's not this one. No, my fault. It really does look pretty alike, right? Since it's not available on too many platforms yet, the price varies a lot by region. But the one I got comes to roughly like $35. The previous SE series were semi-in-ear, but now to make a low-cost noise cancellation model, they switch it to in-ear. Honestly, it feels like this is becoming the standard logic for new releases, forcing anyone who can't use in-ear to start exploring open-fit designs. So looking ahead, I'd guess brands will focus on optimizing ear hook or clip-on styles, maybe design them more like semi-in-ear. Based on the name, this is clearly a noise cancellation-focused model. In real-world testing, the low-frequency noise cancellation is solid. Things like the hum of the air conditioner are mostly filtered out. Mid-range sounds like the voices aren't handled as well, and the average noise reduction comes in around like 24 dB. It's not going to give you perfect ANC performance, but it does a good job blocking out some background noise. Personally, I'd say it's better suited for work environments like construction sites or other places where noise isolation is a priority. The sound follows Huawei's usual style, punchy and bass-forward, but however, because the driver setup isn't as advanced as their middle to high-end models, the low-end lacks depth. There is plenty of quantity, but it can feel a bit loose and unfocused. Overall, the sound is concentrated close to your ears, so the soundstage feels more mid, especially vocals, are prominent and grab attention, but their texture is fairly basic. So you get that typical experience for this price point. Powerful and lively, but not particularly refined. Overall, the battery life is actually the standout feature, just like the Ceramic 6 or Ear-Free i5. Honestly, it could be called the SE4 Life. Especially great for parents to avoid constant charging. But in terms of tuning, the Ceramic 6 is noticeably better than Huawei. So if you're using a Huawei phone, the SE4 ANC is a solid, durable option. If not, the Ceramic 6 gives you more bang for your buck and a better overall experience. The ideal price is around $30. At that point, there is basically nothing major to complain about. Before I got this one, all I heard about this is that it sounds really nice. Honestly, I'm not totally sold on the look. It's got a metal, rugged vibe, but the build quality is definitely solid. and some people may probably love the style. The noise cancellation mainly tackles low frequencies. Vocals and highs are basically untouched, and even keyboard clicks aren't featured. The ear tips fit the ear canals nicely, but the fit is a bit snug, so it might not be the best for long listening sessions. Overall, the H3 has a pretty good resolution and separation. The way the sound is laid out makes your attention naturally gravitate towards the vocals and the high-frequency instrument, while the bass sits more on the outer edge. Vocals and highs feel closer to your ears, with high frequencies mostly leaning towards the upper right ears. So you really get a sense of how layered the track is. Space feels wild and immersive. Looking at the individual frequency ranges, the sub-bass and bass roll off relatively quickly, so even though the lows are present, they don't hit as hard as you might expect. Vocals are fairly neutral, not overly colored. The extreme highs aren't roll off enough, so they can come across a little sharp. This makes the H3 a bit picky. If you're a bass head, it might feel underwhelming or even annoying, but if you enjoy detailed vocals or instrument clarity, it performs quite nicely. Honestly, if we just talk about the earbuds themselves, I'd say they take a different approach compared to their previous AirPods Pro. One focused more on sound quality and the other on balanced overall performance. Just look at the quality scores, both land around 6.6. But when I saw the pricing, I really realized why doing these detailed review videos matters. Without keeping tracks like this, I might never have noticed that an earbud that originally launched at $84.49 is now priced at $129. Wow. And that earbud that was originally $79.99 is now dropped to $59. Actually, even below the ideal price I had suggested back then. So, at the current price, it's pretty clear which one is the better buy. Samsung Galaxy Buds 3 FE, we already covered its sound in the last video. The clarity is impressive, and the richness of the element gives you an immediate sense of the satisfaction. But that richness doesn't really match the sense of the space. The vertical soundstage is larger, so the audio feels concentrated above your head, a bit cramped. The tuning is fairly neutral and faithful, which makes it better for appreciation the refined detail. Even though the diaphragm went from 6.5mm to 11mm, this tuning choice doesn't really let the bass hit hard. Only the highs get a bit more extension. Honestly, I don't think it's worth the price difference. Overall, the fit isn't very comfortable. The front part of the earbud is a bit wide, which creates some pressure in the ear canal. The triangle stem design, honestly, I'm not sure what it's supposed to help with. It's awkward to pick up and take out, and when you're using the touch controls, you don't brush against the sharp edges. ANC is pretty average. In a normal office environment, you barely notice any difference. Only in louder or rumbling environments will you feel some low frequency reduction. Maybe that's why some brands love to hype their transparency modes. The ideal price, like the Buds FE, would be around $80. That said, I don't see Samsung lowering the price anytime soon. So let's see just how clear this super mic really is. $179 is a lot to ask. At this point, you can already tell the earbuds can't really compete on pure sound or ANC, so they're trying some, let's see, creative tricks. Looking at the frequency spectrum, the mids basically drop off about 4 kHz. The super mic boosts a lot of info from 4 kHz to 8 kHz and cuts about 30% of the lows, which makes voices clearer and brighter, but it also sacrifices some of the original call quality to highlight the super mic effect. So how does it compare to our previous core champs? the Oppo Enco X3, the Roselia Ceramic 6, and the Bose QC Ultra 2. I test them in quiet environments, windy conditions, and on the subway, and you'll find the recordings at the end of the video for a direct comparison. So if you care a lot about quality, you can pick a headset based on your actual usage scenarios. As for sound, the Nothing Ear series has always been tricky to judge, but the tuning on the Ear 3 is relatively normal. The bass is a bit scattered and covers a wide range, so with R&B music, it can feel lacking in punch. But with pop or other bass-heavy tracks, it can feel too strong. And the vocals, under the influence of the bass, come off slightly gray and dark with a bit of distortion. That said, compared to a few other models we've tested in this batch, it's still fairly acceptable. At least the soundstage and overall balance are still reasonable. ANC performance is pretty average. Turn it down and the low end is still prominent. Vocals still cut through, so it mostly relies on passive noise cancellation. The charging case is a major highlight. Super futuristic, loaded with details that makes it fun to handle. And that metallic sheen really pops. But the loose, floppy lid is kind of annoying. The app is clear and easy to navigate, though updating the firmware is a bit of hassle. You even need to charge the battery a bit before it lets you update. Ideal price is around $120. The ANC on the AirPods Pro 3 is undoubtedly the go-to choice for anyone chasing top-tier noise cancellation. That said, it still has its drawbacks. The fit isn't exactly comfy, and while the sound tuning has changed quite a bit, it's still not exactly mind-blowing. It keeps the usual equal loudness curve compensation, which basically means at low volumes it boosts the highs and lows, and at higher volumes it boosts the mids. This way, your ears perceive a more balanced sound across different environments and listening levels. If we take a typical 80 decibel listening level, the overall soundstage isn't very wide. The sound feels concentrated close to your ears, without much headroom or resolution in your head. For example, listening to Hush by the Marias, the initial drum hits normally create a sense of dynamic depth from far to near, but on the AP3, it just feels like the sound swell from quiet to loud, so in this soundstage, everything feels a bit crowded. The sound base gets around a 12 decibel boost, and the low end tapers down smoothly to about 8 decibel. This gives the sound a decent sense of dynamics and low frequency reverb, but the deep end doesn't really hit. So if you know how I describe bass, a good low end has weight and a solid impact. You can feel each punch. Here, the bass is more like ambient rumble. It lacks that grounded, punchy feel, so it doesn't feel particularly energetic. And the mids are fairly flat, with a compensation peak around 2.5 kHz, so vocal presence isn't very strong. Voices aren't delicate, they spread out rather than sitting forward. Compared to the highs, which are overly bright and sharp, this tuning boosts perceived clarity and spaciousness, making the soundstage feel larger than it actually is. But those bright highs can be piercing, especially sleepiness, and they roughen the texture of vocals. Take You and Me, for example. The electronic elements sound harsh, and the female vocals lose all of its characters. What should be an emotional duet turns into just an emotional damage. Plus, there is no EQ adjustment, not even presets. You're stuck with whatever tuning they've chosen. The in-ear detection is super sensitive. You get that feeling like, wow, this is next level speed. But the initial insertion still feels a bit uncomfortable. It's been a long time since I feel something pressed so directly into the ear canal, like it's trying to poke right in. As for the ideal price, it's really hard to say. If your priority is ANC, $200 is a fair choice. But for sound quality or overall experience, $150 seems more reasonable. So now let's talk about this whole Bose tuned assembly line. Like, Seriously, every brand now has a full-on family lineup of the same model. Feels like they're scared we'll run out of options or something. Hey, that's not an excuse to drop a lazy collab just to cash in, okay? And start with the in-ear model, the XP1. The bass is flat, barely there. You can't even tell where the drum hits are coming from, let alone feel the impact. The bass strings movement is totally absent. You just get this hollow, drum vibe. Vocals sit super far back, almost distant from your ears, so the emotion feels weak. You almost have to lean in to catch it. Has a warm but dull with very little extension, mostly buried under that foggy drum layer. Honestly, it's like listening to a $50 mini speaker trapped inside a drum. Perfect for falling asleep. Okay, I guess if they want an earbud for sleep, this is the blueprint. Listen to River, I almost teared up. So yeah, shut your mouth, run money like a river, like a river. And mine is a bit to the right. Feels like my right brain wants this battle in my head. What's even more frustrating is that this whole series is endorsed by Via, one of my favorite singers. And this is the kind of tuning they went with. I really don't get why big brands are trashing their own rip like this. Sure, some people might like it, but I guarantee it's not for most listeners. Noise cancellation is actually decent. You can cut about 80% of low-end noise. My little desk fan basically disappeared, and keyboard clicks and voice sounds pretty thin. Tested depth comes in around like 40 decibel, which largely comes from their so-called umbrella-shaped ear tips. At first, I thought it was ridiculous, like, are they calling this an egg or what? But technically, the tips are shorter and wider, which improves the seal. Battery life is solid, but call quality loses a lot of detail, so overall, I wouldn't recommend it. And the ideal price, I think, is about around $50. Alright, now let's check out the clip-on version, the XC1. Can you believe this is the first clip-on we've ever featured on this channel? First off, the charging case flip opens at a slightly smaller angle than the XP1, so it kind of sticks in the middle, not as smooth as that one. And sound-wise, it's mid-tier for the clip-on. Low end is a bit boosted, so it gives some atmosphere, but vocals still feel distant and lose a lot of detail. Mid and high frequencies are pretty dull, so honestly, it's mostly fine for tracks with minimal vocals or just male vocals. On the bright side, and it's rare for a non-sports earbuds to have a IP66 water and dust resistant. This means you can use it confidently in heavy rain and outdoors or some dusty conditions. But at $100, overall comfort and experience, you might as well wait for the Huawei FreeClip to drop in price. Alright, let's talk about the over-ear XH1. The unboxing experience is a bit nicer. First thing you see is a little card that reminds you like the Beats. And you also get a Fox Protein leather carrying pouch, a 3.5mm to 3.5mm cable, and a Type-C charging cable, and the comfort is not so great. The headphones press down on your head, so after a while, the top of your head starts to ache. This sets the driver's unit in a specific angle and add a spring tube setup, kinda like a piezo ceramic device. You can actually see it under the dust cover. This boosts the feel of the very low frequencies, making the sound more lively, giving you more of that bouncing punch. Low end feels more active within a certain range, but it doesn't dig super deep. And if I remember right, the Edifier tried something similar in their over-ear models. The overall soundstage is decent, not cramped, but the low end is very present, while vocals and highs feel a bit subdued. At higher volumes, mid and high frequencies perform a bit better. So looking at the Baseus lineup overall, because leaning on both style tuning, the sound signature tends to have a more floating low end. The over-ear XH1 gives a slightly better music experience, while the other two are really only for bass heads who love strong, punchy rhythm. Ideal price points would be like this. As for the CMF Headphone Pro and Bose QC Ultra 2, limited by the time, if you guys are curious, I'll do a deep dive later. And if you want to know how they actually perform, just drop a comment below or come talk about it on Discord. And I remember in my last May to June video, I was kind of bummed with the scores, because so many products feels the same, no real innovation, and this time around, it feels completely different. Every brand is trying something new, and I expect October and November will bring even more value for money release, and can't wait to see. So that's all for today's video. Thanks so much for sticking with me. If you found this helpful, drop a 购玩解析 in the comment to show your love. And if you want more quick, straightforward reviews, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and your likes are the best way to cheer me. And if there's any TWS you want me to compare, leave a comment or join my Discord. I also update my testing results here, so hope to see you there. See you in next video. 购玩解析 Next plotly. It seems that I have got 1000 friends in my channel. Then I want... This is Jessie testing quality of the Nothing Ear 3 in the quiet room. How do you feel the sound? Is it clear? And this is Jessie testing quality of the Nothing Ear 3 with the super mic on. How do you feel the sound? So this is the Nothing Ear 3 in the wind noise. How do you feel the sound? Is it clear? And this is how the super mic on with the noise. How do you feel the sound? Is it changing? Hello guys, this is the contest of the Nothing Ear 3 in the subway. How do you feel the sound? Is it clear? And this is the contest with the super mic on. How do you feel the sound? Is it clear?